What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the MSC Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts all things MAC, all things football, all things sports, right here, MSC Sports Connection, baby. The Mid-American Conference best, bringing it only the great MAC to everyone.
Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite Mid-American podcast, the MSC Sports Connection. I'm your host, Alex. Joining me, as always, is Graham. And Graham, we have flipped the calendar. October is done. November is here. We have games to talk about, but we also have games in the middle of the week this week. It's time for midweek action. How excited are you?
That's right. It's the best. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I think I coined that phrase.
You did.
I don't think anyone said that before, and it's Maction time, baby. This week we've got a couple of Maction games, and to suspend a little bit of disbelief here, you guys are going to have to hang on with us because we do record this before the midweek MAC games. So we're going to talk about some games as if we're previewing them, and you will have already watched them, MAC fans, because you are MAC fans. We don't know what's happening this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. We don't know that yet because those days have not happened. We do know what happened over the weekend, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But Alex, I think Maction is a ton of fun. It is, like I said, the most wonderful time of the year, and a lot has been said. Oh my goodness, can't talk today, Alex. I'm too excited. A lot has been said about Maction, about whether the midweek play for TV time was a good play for the conference or a bad play for the conference. I don't know that we're here to have that conversation again. I think it's been done to death, but it is certainly an exciting time for those of us who are MAC fans, and it extends our football watching hours into the middle of the week, which I know we all appreciate.
Well, fans who love college football, fans who love football in general, can certainly thank the Mid-American Conference that until like November 30th, there won't be a single day where football isn't being played. And you can thank the Mid-American Conference for that. So for you football fans, we did it for you. But as you said, we don't need to have the discussion on whether or not it's been good or bad for the conference. We just need to have discussion on what's going to happen on those games. But I think we need to rewind to this weekend, the final weekend really of the Saturday football. I mean, we've got a couple games coming up throughout November where we'll see some Saturday play, but really the last Saturday slate of conference play for the Mid-American Conference. And I got to say, Graham, a couple results I don't think I was expecting. And I guess we'll just start with Central Michigan, Western Michigan, the victory cannon.
The closer of the two games this weekend.
Which was, yes, it was a closer of the two games. All I can say is, wow, what a football game. Defensively, both sides came out, played tough. Offensively, both sides came out. They put up some points. Western Michigan secured the 24-21 win. And further cemented themselves as being in control of their own destiny for the Mid-American Conference Championship. Kalamazoo was hopping. I don't know if you saw how the stadium looked. Almost 30,000 people in Waldo Stadium this weekend.
Oh, yeah. The way the games lined up, I was able to watch both of these games back to back. With a slight break in between to grab some snacks. So certainly a convenient MAC schedule this weekend. And yeah, I mean, you're right. Kalamazoo was rocking a little bit for this one. This one, a rivalry game, Central Michigan versus Western Michigan. And you're right. It's an exciting game. Both of these teams had very similar days. Central Michigan had the edge a little bit in the passing game. Western a little bit in the rushing game. You talk about defensively, both these teams held each other to about the same score. So It's a game that was as close as advertised. I think coming into this game, we talked about this one as a one of those prove it games, as show who the top team was. And I don't know that this one went so far as to definitively say that Western is a better team, but they did come out on top, and that goes a long way towards proving Western's bona fides.
I gotta say, for year one of the Matt Drinkle era, who, by the way, congrats to Coach Drinkle. His first child arrived this week. He actually, fun little anecdote for you, drove to Kalamazoo separate from the team, got there about 90 minutes before kickoff because he was at the hospital with his wife and kids. So again, congratulations to him. But one of the things that I love about MACtion rivalry games is, especially when they're on a Saturday, the fans come all out. We saw it with Bowling Green Toledo this year. They packed Deutsch Perry. We saw it with Western Michigan, Central Michigan. They packed Waldo Stadium. And you and I have been there at games where Akron and Kent State have packed either Dick Stadium or InfoCision. Like, these MAC rivalry games are something to behold. And I really love that both teams showed out. The fans showed up. The atmosphere was electric. And the football was good. We've seen some really bad MAC rivalry football before. This was good football. Defensively, offensive, it was a chess match. And I absolutely love that we got a chess match in the form of a rivalry game for the victory cannon.
Yeah, I think it's exciting to see a game go back and forth. Central starts off the scoring with a touchdown in the first quarter, a couple touchdowns in the second quarter, one each for Central and Western. Western gets the better of CMU in the third quarter. So we start a fresh game in the fourth quarter, tied 21-21. Central scores first. We see about the 9-minute mark, Western kicks through a field goal. And then with a couple of minutes left in the game, a touchdown pass gives Western the lead, and they held on to it for the rest of the game. So it was certainly an exciting game, and one with that went back and forth the whole time. And I think it did show the quality of these teams. You're mentioning how many of these games this year were kind of rough. They're kind of chaotic, sort of not a lot of great football being played. And it resulted in a lot of chaos in the standings, a lot of results that we weren't necessarily prepared for. This was great played football on both sides.
Absolutely. So hats off to Western Michigan. You keep the victory cannon in Kalamazoo. Did not get on the board back to not get on the bus back to Mount Pleasant. Did not board the bus is what I was trying to say there. And a great game of football. Joe Labus led both passers on the day, but only by about 2 yards. Brock Lowry right behind him. Brock Lowry with the late touchdown to get the Broncos the win. And overall great game. The other game from the weekend, Graham. I don't know that you and I were expecting the result that we got. I certainly was expecting, with Drew Pine back under center for Bowling Green, that they were going to be a lot more competitive in this game. And turns out that was in fact not the case.
I was certainly expecting, with Drew Pine back under center for Bowling Green, that Drew Pine would remain under center for Bowling Green. That's not the case. I mean, this one, just for our listeners who didn't get a chance to see it, Buffalo on top 28-3 over Bowling Green. This was the early game on Saturday. And Drew Pine finally back for Bowling Green. He only puts up 52 yards through the air. He averaged 3.3 yards per attempt. Not great. And in the end, he was replaced with Hunter Najim, who did much the same. 48 yards through the air and a pick. So not a great job for either quarterback for the Falcons over the weekend. On the other side, though, Taquan Robertson, great game. 136 yards through the air, a touchdown. Now, he did give up one pick, but a great game leading the Bulls to victory. L.J. Henderson also had another incredible game, 18 carries, 120 yards on the ground, and a score. We like to see that. Victor Snow also ran one in for the Bulls. And a great job for Nick McMillan receiving over 100 yards receiving for him. So Buffalo had a great job. It's the Buffalo defense that we're finally talking about again. I think we kind of missed the Buffalo defense a lot this year. The Buffalo defense is back. They hold Bowling Green to only 3 points. Red Murdoch had a heck of a game. 13 total tackles, including a sack. He also had a forced fumble that I don't remember what the record is. He broke a record with that forced fumble, Alex. And I don't remember
he is the new record holder at 17 in a career.
So there you go.
Throughout the NCAA. So
there you go. Red Murdoch record breaker. And that was good enough for Defensive Player of the Week. Great job for Red Murdoch. We knew that he was going to have a great season. And he has so far.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with him. It's obviously the all-time FBS forced fumbles record with 17 career forced fumbles. So yes, hats off to him. I think this is finally the Buffalo defense. We've talked about the Buffalo defense we've been wanting to see. They played spotty against all these other opponents, Kent State, EMU, UMass, Akron even. I mean, games that they probably should have won handily, that they just sort of disappeared off the map. And then finally, as they start the back half of the conference slate, they said, no, we're going to show up, we're going to play some defense, and we're going to set the tone early. And they pitched a shutout for 3 quarters, giving up just a field goal kind of late in the game there. But this is it was a fourth quarter field goal. Jackson Cleather, 51-yarder with 8:33 to go. So the game well out of reach at this point. And I think Buffalo, this is what Pete Lembo wanted from his team. You're still on track for a trip to Detroit. You've got plenty of opportunity ahead of you, especially with with a tough draw, if I'm being honest. But I think at least a winnable game here and there, Central Michigan, Miami, and then Ohio. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated in that stretch. But this is, we're in November. Literally anything can happen. And that's kind of the beauty of what college football is in the MAC in November. Guaranteed.
Buffalo's in spitting distance here, and only one conference loss, and their defense looking better. Now, again, the issue with the Buffalo defense this year has been getting off the field. When we look at Buffalo in terms of their overall yards that they're allowing on defense, they're right around third in the MAC in most categories. When we look at scoring, same thing, third in the MAC. When we look at yards per play, the Buffalo defense is only allowing 4.5 yards per play. So we can tell the issue with the defense is that they're not getting off the field. They're allowing too many plays to their opponent. That's the issue. And when we look at Bowling Green, Buffalo 28, Bowling Green 3 is the final on the scoreboard. Guess what the time of possession is? You don't have to guess. I'll tell you. Bowling Green, 34 minutes of total possession compared to Buffalo's 26. You look at first downs compared to 15 Bowling Green first downs. This is something that I think the Buffalo defense needs to correct. The defense needs to get off the field. If you keep letting up big plays, letting up first downs against a team like Bowling Green, you can still win, and you can still win handily. But this Buffalo defense is too good not to get off the field. And that's what's been happening so far this year.
Well, and I think when you look at Buffalo as a whole, you're right. The time of possession is a big concern. I think this is a testament, one, of how good the Buffalo defense is, but two, about how poor this Bowling Green offense is. When you control the ball for that long and you get shut out for 3.5 quarters of a football game, that's not ideal. That's the opposite of ideal. And it is worth noting, I think, Bowling Green has officially parted with offensive coordinator Travis Partridge. He is no longer going to be serving in that capacity. I do believe I did see that they are going to be moving on with one of their other coordinators will be running the offense. I didn't see who exactly that was, but it looks like they're going to be moving on with one of their other coordinators to kind of run the offense the rest of the year. But Falcon fans who had incredibly high expectations for Bowling Green this year, purely because of the hiring of Eddie George, which, to his credit, did a great job turning around Tennessee State, getting them back to the FCS playoffs, getting them back to winning from being a cellar dweller in their conference. But people who had that expectation that this was a Bowling Green team that was going to make a run at the MAC championship, it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen in year one. Wasn't going to happen with Drew Pine. Everybody was very quick, myself admittedly, very quick to highlight that this guy was, hey, this is a guy who's played at the Power 4 level, and he's played decent. I don't think he's played stellar at the Power 4 level. His best year was at Notre Dame when he threw for 2,000 yards back in 22, which that's a solid year. But every year since has been well below average. And his year at BG, this is his 6th year and his 4th school playing college football, has been well below average. So you might have that Power 4 experience, but he hasn't played real Power 4 football since 2002 or since 2022, not since 2002. That was
that would be
a few years ago.
Yeah, just a standard 23-year college football career. Yeah, that's I think the disappointments reign for Bowling Green this year. Although a victory over Toledo certainly helps ease that pain. I think it's too early to judge the Eddie George career, his campaign here. You talk about turning around schools. Bowling Green was a school that didn't really need to be turned around. Scott Loeffler left this school in a pretty decent position. So now you lose a stud like Harold Fannin. Hard to recover from that. And obviously, when we look at the quarterback position, as you just did, certainly that doesn't help. But this is it's a work in progress. I think we knew that it was going to be a work in progress. Bowling Green, another one of those teams that just didn't return a ton of production. So that's tough. That's tough to recover from. And we'll see going forward. BG has a few winnable games coming up on the schedule, and they would have to win out now in order to remain bowl eligible, but that's doable. Eastern Michigan, Akron, UMass to finish up the season. All of those are winnable games, but we'll see how the Falcons handle that. They cannot lose another game sort of pressure going forward.
Yeah, and kind of speaking to that, remaining, if they win out, they remain bowl eligible. As we've mentioned, we're in November, and that means the MS scenarios are coming back. And fun fact, guys, Bowling Green, however slim they are, still alive for the MAC championship game. Those hopes dwindling by the loss, the most recent loss, certainly not helpful, but they're still eligible, officially eligible. It's very minimal, and we'll post graphics on that over the next several weeks as we chip away at which teams can make it to Detroit. But Bowling Green, very much alive for the MAC championship game. Not something I thought I'd be saying here in November, but here we are. Graham, let's turn to the midweek slate. We have 4 games here on the midweek kind of conference slate, and there's a couple really good ones here. Tuesday night, November 4th, UMass at Akron, and then the Battle of the Bricks, Miami at Ohio down there at Peden Stadium. Wednesday, we got Ball State versus Kent State, and NIU at Toledo. I really like half of these games for the for the pageantry that comes with them.
Yeah, I agreed. I think really all of these games looked at the beginning of the season like they were going to be very close matchups. As the season has gone on, I think we've realized the quality of both UMass and Akron. That game no longer looks to be close to me. Except in terms of physical proximity, it is close to me. The Battle of the Bricks, of course, is the game of the week. I don't know that we even have any real competition for that.
No.
Kent State, Ball State, suddenly an interesting game.
Very interesting game.
One that I think we thought early in the season would have been easily a Cardinals win is not so easy. And then Toledo, Northern Illinois, game that shouldn't be close, although Toledo has been making a lot of games that shouldn't be closer this year. And it does have some of that historic sort of rivalry to it with the 2010s being that Northern Illinois really beaten up on the Rockets. So maybe a revenge game for the Rockets at home. That's been an interesting dynamic too, Alex. This year we've talked about it. Toledo is a team who looks pretty good at home and pretty awful on the road this year. So maybe the good home vibes also help out in that one.
Well, I think too, that's been a bit of the tale of the MAC this year. There have been teams who have looked awful on the road, and Toledo not in the company you wanted to be in. You're down there with Ball State, Kent State, Eastern Michigan, UMass, winless on the road this year. Again, not company you wanted to be with when it comes to looking at numbers and how your season's playing out. And Toledo's sitting at 4-4 right now, 2-2 in conference play. Similar to, funny enough, you mentioned Ball State, Kent State. Both of those teams incredibly still alive for the MAC championship game. And a long shot for both of them. I'll give you that, but not impossible. Certainly not impossible given what we're looking at for both of these schools. Ball State, you've got Kent State this week, Eastern Michigan, Toledo, Miami. I think Ball State probably gets tripped up by Toledo and Miami. We'll cover that in a couple weeks. But Kent State, winnable game against Ball State, Akron. CMU remains to be seen, and Northern Illinois looks really bad on offense. So that one could be a roll the dice kind of game. So who knows? Like, I certainly don't expect either team to be in the championship. I want to be clear, but don't count them out yet.
Absolutely. I mean, I think really there are a ton of teams who have a shot at being in that MAC championship game. That's why we like the MS scenarios so much. Alex, were there any of these games that you wanted to talk about in particular?
Battle of the Bricks, I think, you're probably right. It's the game of the week. Ohio is on, I believe it's an 11-game home winning streak. One of the longest in the country. They haven't lost at home this year. They didn't lose at home last year. And I think that's where this gets really, really interesting. Their last home loss was against Miami, Ohio on October 28th, 2023. They got blasted 30-16 in that loss. They still finished with a 10-win season. Played some great football that year. But they don't lose at home. They've lost once since they've named it Frank Solich Field. And I think there's a lot of value to that. I think they've made it their own thing. They've made it defend this turf. They've done an excellent job with it. I don't know that I see them losing at home. I mean, they've got wins over West Virginia, Bowling Green, Northern Illinois, like all at home. And the West Virginia game was the only one that was close.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think this is a game that could easily define our MS scenarios for the rest of the year. If Miami wins this one, it becomes way easier for them to kind of just dance their way into the championship game. If Ohio wins this game, suddenly they're at the top of the conference.
Yeah.
Both in terms of record, but also in terms of just quality of play. Now, Ohio doesn't have an easy schedule going forward. Miami this week, Western Michigan after that, a reprieve against UMass, but then finishing the season at Buffalo. So 3 tough games there to finish out the season. That's tough for Ohio. That being said, you're right. I love the fact that Ohio is so good at home, and really this is again a battle of opposites. It's a question of can the Ohio offense take on the Miami defense, and that's a big question mark. This Miami defense has been good, not great this year. So that's interesting. I think that's an interesting dynamic. Miami offense has been better than expected. So this Miami offense is pretty okay. This Miami defense is pretty okay. This Ohio offense is excellent. And the Ohio defense, very middle of the conference. So that's the question. Is can Ohio's offense take down Miami's defense? And I don't know. I mean, to me, so far this year, Miami has looked like the better team, and we all know in a rivalry game anything can happen. I want to pick the Bobcats in this one so bad, Alex, but I think this one goes to Miami.
It remains to be seen. Obviously, we've got Chase Hendricks, the superstar wide receiver for the Bobcats. He's on a 3-game streak of 100-plus receiving yards. Saban Gura, 4 of his last 5 games have been over 100 rushing yards. And Parker Navarro, 4 of his last 5 have been over 200 passing yards. So if this offense can get going, and funny enough, the only game in which Bangura and Navarro did not eclipse those respective marks, the loss to Ball State. So I think that's something Miami's probably watching that film pretty religiously, and throwing in a few of their own wrinkles. But yeah, I'm excited. This one's going to be on ESPN2, 7:00, Peden Stadium. They're doing a blackout for this game, and I love that. Like they're doing black jerseys. I think black pants. And I think I saw it was going to be either the green helmet with the black logo or black helmet with the green logo. It's going to look sharp. They're doing some really nice stuff for this one. Just trying to make it a really, really tough home environment.
Yeah, Ohio favored in this one by 3.5 right now at the time of recording. Basically just that home field goal, a little bit, an extra point over that. So a very close game, and one that I expect to be very close. But every time I say that this year, Alex, I'm proved wrong. So I'm sure that this one will definitely be a blowout.
I gotta say, I'm pulling for the Bobcats in this one. I think sounds like you're going Miami.
I'm going Miami. That's
and I'm just gonna declare I'm going Bobcats. Definitely has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I have paid them $40,000 over the last 2 years.
That's not the way betting on them is supposed to work, but okay. Also on Tuesday night, Akron taking on UMass. That one's in Akron. That's on CBS Sports Network at 7:00. Should be an interesting game, but I think Akron has this one in the bag. The spread right now, 10.5 in favor of the Zips. The following night, we have Northern Illinois taking on Toledo. That one's 7:00 on ESPN2 in the Glass Bowl. Alex, this one should be interesting because we want to see if Toledo has it, right? Like, can this Toledo offense bounce back, having not shown up in pivotal games this season? Toledo now in a point where most games become must-win games. If they want to make it to the MAC championship, they really gotta win out. That's the realistic path there. As we talk about these MS scenarios, that it could be Toledo can drop a game and still make it into the MAC championship. But really, it's winning out puts them in the kind of more favorable position. So this one and every other game that the Rockets play for the rest of the season, very important. Probably a must-win game. Northern Illinois obviously having a more disappointing season, but they've had a couple of games recently where they seem to have come alive. So Northern Illinois can be a dangerous team. What do you think about this game, Alex?
This game's interesting. There's a lot of history, a lot of bad blood between these two programs. And the joke with Toledo fans and some NIU fans is the non-rival rival. This game has a lot on it. Obviously, I think this game has significantly less title impact than we probably would have liked at this point in the year. I think for me, there was a little bit of hope that Northern Illinois was going to be a title contender, just because they knew, hey, we're trying to leave the conference with a couple trophies, the rivalry trophies, and then the championship trophy. And it turns out that's not going to be the case. Almost assuredly not going to make the MAC championship game for Northern Illinois. But they've got plenty of other things to compete for. You can knock out Western Michigan. You can knock out Toledo from contention for the MAC championship game. And for a rival, non-rival, how great would that be to once again dash the hopes of Rocket fans and not let them get to Detroit? That even on years Northern Illinois wasn't in Detroit, that was their signature recipe, was if we can't go, neither can Toledo.
Yeah, certainly would be a rude thing to do to knock a bunch of people out of championship contention on your way out the door from the conference. But it seems like just Northern Illinois style. Toledo favored by 14.5 in that one, and really that's what we're looking to see from this Rockets team. If they can win by that 15 points, it'll go a long way towards showing that this team can compete down the stretch. Kent State, Ball State, that one 7:00 on ESPNU on Wednesday night. And this one should be a close game in Muncie. Ball State favored by 2.5. So the odds makers have these teams very evenly matched. Our model has these teams very evenly matched. I don't know who I'm picking in this one, Alex. Kent State has been so exciting recently, and with the news that Carney is going to be the head coach going forward, that's
I'm so excited.
Very exciting news for Kent State. I think Kent State is everything's looking up for the Flashes right now. Still hard to go into an opponent's place in November for midweek action, especially when these teams are so evenly matched. So a tough game to pick here. I'm excited about the Flashes. A really fun returner. That's always exciting. An offense that is kind of starting to get clicking. A defense that every once in a while makes big, amazing plays. This Flashes team, it's just really exciting to watch. You kind of got to deal with the fact that they're not going to be great all the time. But that makes for even more exciting game.
Well, and I think something that's not getting talked about enough, and Flash fans have given me specifically a lot of crap online for not being higher on them. Something that's not being talked about enough. They are a down away, a stop away from being 3-1 in conference play right now, which would be 4-4 on the year. And that's to a team who is right now in very much the driver's seat for one of the spots in the MAC championship. This team has played well against conference opponents outside of the Toledo game, which they played well for the first quarter and a half. They've played very well against conference opponents and have found a way to win. We talked about this last week. This is a Kent State team who would have just rolled over being down 21-3 to Bowling Green. An interesting stat I was looking at, though, as bad as Kent State's been the last 2 years, they've won 6 out of the last 8 against Bowling Green in the anniversary award. which I know nobody cares about that rivalry. I care, okay? I care. It's an important rivalry to me, Graham. But they've got a better record against Bowling Green in the last 8 than Toledo has against Bowling Green in the last 8. This is a Kent State team that I think you have to be excited about, especially knowing that there are very winnable games on the rest of the season. I don't know that this Kent State team goes bowling. And at the beginning of this season, if you had said that they would be in position to not even just go bowling, but an outside shot at getting to Detroit, I would have laughed at you. I would have said, there's no way. And now here we are talking about them as an outside shot to get to Detroit and a couple breaks away from getting to 500 and going to a bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we predicted, are the wins losses for Kent State to begin the year, both you and I had them, I think, at 2 wins total, and they've already exceeded that. So this is a Kent State team who already above expectations, and certainly has the opportunity to do even better. So excited about Kent State, and we are not forgetting about the Cardinals at Ball State, also an exciting team. Now, I think the opposite is true of Ball State. I think we had larger expectations for this team heading into the year. Now, still, these teams are sitting about the same level in the conference. Both of them 2-2 in conference play. Both teams 3-5 overall. Both teams the opportunity to go bowling, regardless of what happens in this one. So there's going to be an opportunity here for both of these teams. This is a winnable game for both teams. Should be super evenly matched. Now, Ball State being at home, that's what has me in this one going. I think this is Ball State's game. But gosh, it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Well, and I think for Ball State too, right? For me, I had them going 5-7 in the first year of Mike Yuremovich. They're 3-5 right now. I mean, and I think on their schedule, they've got 2 winnable games. Kent State and Eastern are probably the ones that I would circle as their most winnable. You're on the road at Toledo, who we'll see what happens this week if Toledo proves to be, Superman at home, or if they're going to shrink to Weenie Hut Jr. Like, we'll see. But I really, really like this idea that Ball State, really close to where you and I both talked about. I think you had them at 4 wins to start the year, and very much in reach for them this year. So they're roughly meeting expectations right now. They're on pace to, I should say.
Yeah, so
I'm excited.
I think this Cardinals team, I in my mind, they are the slightly better team in this matchup, and they also get the home field advantage. So I'm going to pick Ball State in this one, but this will be a fun game to watch. I think if you had to pick one game from Wednesday night, this is the one that I would pick. And then finally, Alex, we do have a Saturday game this week.
A rare Saturday game now.
So Bowling Green has follows up their Saturday game with another Saturday game, like the rest of the college football world. Bowling Green heads to Ypsilanti to take on Eastern Michigan. And this one, interesting. This is an interesting game for me. I think a couple of weeks ago, it's been an easy pick to say this is the Falcons. But I don't think this is so easy now. Bowling Green over the last few weeks has looked pretty bad. And whereas Eastern Michigan has looked okay. Eastern Michigan also at home, favored in this one by 2.5. This one on Saturday at 1:00, ESPN Plus to watch this one. Alex, in the bird game here, I'm taking the Eagles in the Factory.
Wow. Okay. I know you've talked about being a little more high on Eastern Michigan than I have been, and I think a big part of that is Noah Kim. He has been excellent at quarterback for Eastern Michigan. He's gotten this offense to do some stuff and make some strides. He's over 2,000 yards this year, 14 passing touchdowns. I think Dante McMillan has looked solid in the backfield, 723 yards, just 2 touchdowns. And then Nick Devereaux, the wide receiver, he has 5 touchdowns on the year for him. For me, the question is this Eastern Michigan defense, but you're going against this Bowling Green offense who has looked awful, who scored 3 points against Buffalo. And I think that's a good pick. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm like, that pick's not as crazy as I thought it was when you said it. But that's the world we live in now. And I like that this one is a 2.5 point spread. So it's literally that home field goal that, just under that home field goal advantage for Eastern Michigan right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Eastern Michigan is the team that we talk about with a lot of these teams where we say they've got a great defense and a bad offense, or a great offense and a bad defense. Eastern Michigan truly has either the second or the third best offense in the MAC in most offensive categories, and either the second or the third worst defense in most defensive categories. So they could not be further apart in those metrics. And it shows. I mean, this is the reason Eastern Michigan loses games is because of their defense. Also, the reason Noah Kim has so many passing yards is because Eastern Michigan constantly has to pass to try and stay in games. So it's just an interesting dynamic for this Eastern Michigan team. I think Bowling Green is reeling right now is another reason for this. So I think Eastern has this one, wins this one at home. But an interesting game to turn on Saturday at 1 if you're looking for some action on Saturday.
Well, and I think, too, Bowling Green isn't going to mid-season completely change their offensive playbook. They might change what plays they're calling, but the playbook's going to be the same. They're not going to go out and install a brand new offense with 4 games to go. That's just not happening. So you might see some new wrinkles and might see a couple tweaks to, maybe a little bit more passing or maybe a little bit more whatever. But the personnel's the same. The playbook's going to be the same. And so I think, and I fear my slight Toledo homer bias will be coming out when I say this. But you and I talked about it, that this is looking more and more like the Bowling Green win over Toledo is looking a little more fluky. I don't think the Western Michigan win over Toledo is a fluke. Western is proving that they are one of the best teams in the conference right now. But the Bowling Green win is looking more and more fluky the more and more we continue through this season, and they're 1-4 in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we talk about rivalry wins, that's the way they can go. Mm-hmm. And so it's really tough to know who this Bowling Green team is. But you're right, a win over Eastern would go a long way to say, we're not the punching bag for the conference. So yeah, I mean, I would tune into this one. Obviously, there's only one MAC game on Saturday, so I'm going to be tuning into this one. I
would like to take issue with some of the game makers for the Mid-American Conference. Eastern Michigan has 1 week game in the month of November. I take issue with that. And that's all I needed to say about that.
Okay, good. I'm glad that that we got that out there. I mean, that does it for our MAC football slate. But Alex, MAC basketball coming right up, man.
God, I'm so excited for MAC basketball, and you should be excited for MAC basketball too. And the best part is you're going to be able to listen to MAC basketball live on the Varsity app from Lairfield. Download that app today. Listen to live to all your favorite calls from your favorite MAC schools, Big Ten, SEC, and more. You can also download that app for free and listen to your favorite podcast. Sickos Committee podcast, Group of Five Guys podcast, yours truly, the MAC Sports Connection podcast, among the hundreds of fantastic podcast episodes available from all across the Varsity Podcast Network, presented by Lairfield. So make sure you guys download that app today for free in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and listen to the calls and podcasts that bring your conferences and schools to life. Graham, it's the Sun Belt versus Mid-American Conference Challenge starting. Well, we're recording on a Monday, so officially starting today. And I'm excited. We've got every team in the conference is in action today. And all 26 men and women's programs, as of right now, undefeated in the college basketball season.
There you go. Now that is true of most college basketball programs at this point in the college basketball season. So
Details.
it's not a huge get for the conference, but exciting. I think what's exciting is as we go through these MAC Sunbelt games, most of the MAC schools are favored at home, and that's something to say. It's it means that the Sunbelt MAC Challenge is pretty evenly matched, which I think is good for both conferences, good for games to start the season. Of course, we're rooting for the MAC over the Sunbelts in these games, but it's been a fun challenge to watch the MAC teams go up against the Sunbelt teams in years past. So excited to see this one. I'm not super prepared to talk about MAC basketball yet, Alex, because we're pretty solely in football mode, especially as we try to calculate the odds of the who's going to go to the MAC championship in those MS scenarios. But got to get ready for MAC basketball because it is here already.
It's exciting, and I'm just going to give my incredibly early preseason prediction. I say Akron going to win on the men's side. They're the preseason favorite. But I'm going to go a little bit more unconventional, and I'm going to pick Kent State to win the women's side. Kent State's been pretty good under Todd Starkey, and I think they've got some good pieces coming back, and he's been really good about turning them into a contender every single year. Give me the Golden Flashes on the women's side.
I love that. Both great picks. I'm going to take the prudent approach and not make too early picks. I'm going to wait to see some results before I start making picks here. But it should be an interesting season. And by the time the tournament rolls around, we're going to be really raring to go because MAC basketball, super exciting. I think you're right, Alex. I think Akron's going to be great on the men's side this year. I think Toledo is also going to be great on the men's side. As far as the women's side go, I think teams got a little more shaken up with the coaching changes over there. But I don't think Kent State is as dark horse a pick as you're making it out to be.
Maybe not. I know that they've been a contender for the last several years. And I don't know. I really like the idea that they could do it again this year, win the whole thing. Lost some pieces. But yeah, we'll see. It should be interesting. I'm very excited for college basketball finally to get around and get underway. I know Kent, again, I'm obviously picking the preseason winners from both sides. So you're right, not that much of a dark horse, but Toledo's up there. Ball State's up there. UMass is up there. Like this, there's a lot of potential for the women's side to be really, really good. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a multi-bid women's side this year. This is going to be a lot of fun to see what happens with the MAC with the addition of UMass.
I would be
their basketball is good.
I would be so excited to see a multi-bid. I don't necessarily foresee it happening in the conference this year, but it would be very exciting. And you're right, I completely forgot about UMass. So got to do a little more calculating before I'm ready to officially make any preseason picks.
We forgot UMass because their football has been rough,
forgettable.
Yes. But shout out to their field hockey team, first year in the MAC, co-champs regular season with my favorites, the Miami Redhawks. They're going to be doing battle in Virginia. I believe it's James Madison officially hosting the MAC tournament this year, and I could be very wrong about that. I think it's Harrisburg that they'll be playing at, but it's co-championship with Miami. Miami's been on a run, and again, I know we're wrapping up the show here, but the run from the Miami Redhawks doesn't get talked about enough, except probably just me. And their history, and I'm just going to read this to you. 9 consecutive MAC regular season titles, which is a new MAC record. 16 consecutive MAC titles, regular season and tournament, which is also a new MAC record. They currently lead the nation in goals, assists, and points at the conclusion of the regular season, and they are in the top 20 in the country, as is UMass. So, I love that field hockey, a sport that people don't talk about a bunch, is starting to get a little bit more attention, and we've got 2 top 25 ranked programs in our conference. I think that's great.
Yeah, and really should make for an exciting year.
Yeah, I agree. Graham, I think that's going to do it for us today. We've got some MS scenarios to crunch and get a graphic made for, so we need to look at those numbers and get on out of here. Anything else you wanted to give the fans at home?
No, I mean, we're going to lock in on those scenarios. We're going to give you some interesting what ifs going forward. We're going to lock in on some MAC basketball. And I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is maybe the most exciting MAC time of the year. MAC basketball heating up, getting ready to go, and midweek MACtion back for the football side. Just enjoy it while you have it.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it from us. For us here, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate the love, support, the hate mail, the love mail, everything you guys send us. Keep sending it our way. We appreciate it, and you guys make it fun. You guys make it enjoyable to be the podcast voice of the Mid-American Conference. So keep following, keep subscribing, keep sending content into us. And looking forward to getting back to you guys next week after we kick off basketball and the first week of midweek MACtion. See you guys.